Hello dear students. After being introduced in the last session to the types of food we consume, today we'll move forward to explain the second activity in the Word of Food chapter under the title Food Identification Tests. First, we will differentiate between simple and complex food. Then we will notice how to identify the presence of certain simple food material by appropriate reagent, a chemical substance. Today, mainly, we will get introduced to the first two tests only that identify the presence of carbohydrates, mainly this is sugar and starch, in the food we eat. Do you know what are the constituents of a cake that we bake? Or the bread that we consume in our daily meals, eggs, fish, meat. Most of the food we consume is a mixture of many simple foods, like proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and not formed of one type only. For that, they are said to be complex food. Here comes the definitions. Please copy them on your copybooks in order to be memorized. A simple food is formed of a single category of chemical organic constituent, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, or a mineral constituent. A complex food contains a mixture of more than one simple food. What food tests enable us to find out the types of simple food that constitutes the food we consume? Please, first I need from you to copy the following table on your copybooks in order to be filled referring to the experiments and the conclusions that will be carried out throughout our explanation. We are going to start with food rich in starch that are found frequently in food we consume daily, like bread, rice, potatoes, pasta, chestnuts. What is the test used to identify the presence of starch in food that we consume? Here we will start an experimental procedure in which we identify the presence of starch in our food. Put a small amount of rice in a petri dish. Add a few drops of water in order to form a rice paste. Put the rice paste in a test tube. Now, add few drops of iodine solution, which is the reagent used to identify the presence of starch in food, and observe. Observe carefully the color change into dark blue. You have to notice here that the color of iodine is a brown-orange color, and it turns blue whenever it reacts with starch, indicating the presence of starch in rice. Do you think that all the food we consume contains starch? Let us perform an experiment on different types of food to test the presence of starch in each. So, our objective is to identify the presence of starch in food. The food that we are going to use are potato, rice, sugar, and salt. The iodine solution will be used as a reagent that identifies the presence of starch. These are the materials that are going to be used, as represented in the document. Please remember that the color of iodine solution is a brown-orange color. Add few drops of iodine solution to potato and rice, and observe the results in this document. Then, add a few drops of iodine solution to the sugar cubes and salt, and observe the results in the second document. Please look carefully at the documents, compare the results in order to record your observation. We observed that the color of iodine changed from brown-orange to dark blue with potato and rice, where the brown-orange color of iodine persists. Didn't it change with salt and sugar? Now, it is required from you to interpret the experiment, and you have to keep an attention to the interpret action verb, which means that you have to analyze your experiment and then give a significance about the results. Our analysis says that a dark blue color appeared after applying iodine test on potato and rice. Stating the significance, this indicates that potato and rice contain starch. In order to link between the two experiments, we are going to use however. However, upon applying iodine test on salt and sugar, the brown-orange color of iodine persists, which is the analysis of the second experiment. Now our significance says that this indicates, the results indicates that the salt and sugar does not contain starch. We can conclude that the iodine test is used to identify the presence of starch in food by changing its color to dark blue color. As shown in the following equation, the iodine, which has a brown-orange color, reacts with the starch to give a dark blue color. This change in color is the positive result of iodine test, stating that this type of food contains starch. Please remember to fill the first row in the table constructed on your copybook. To identify the presence of starch by iodine test was the first test required from you. Wish that you all understood this part of the activity, and go over the second identification test that will be presented in the next video.